It's with great pleasure that we're announcing today that John and Steve and their fantastic Tasmanian business has re-signed as the naming rights sponsor for the Hobart Chargers. Can I just start by saying, and I know I've said this to you guys before, that I think one of my jobs as president and chair, particularly over the next couple of months, is getting around all the sponsors and saying just simply thank you to them. We as a club want to show our great gratitude to all the sponsors for the contribution that they make not only to the club but to the wider community by supporting it. Now, often people see the Telstra logo and think it's Telstra corporate being a sponsor of this club, but this is a business led by these two guys that is Tasmanian owned, that is a growing business, employs some 40 staff, I think, and not only are these guys making a great contribution to their community by supporting 40 families in work, but they're also making a great contribution to their community by supporting this club. And one of the things, as I've said, that I particularly want to do is not only thank them today, thank other sponsors, but also work with our sponsors to really deeply understand their brand values, the things they want to be doing in the community, and finding ways that the Chargers can support them as well as them supporting us. So our announcement today is that the naming rights sponsorship will again go with these fantastic guys. I'm happy to take your questions, but I might hand it over to them.
For John and I, and as part of our naming rights sponsor with Telstra, we were really pleased to come on board for another 3 years. That'll take us out to a total of 10 years of consistent sponsorship with the club. Whilst the club in the past has had its ups and downs, as far as we're concerned, it's a great sport, great club to be involved with. I believe that the Hobart Chargers have probably got a profile second to the cricket, and that's about it. So I think, for us, we see it as great value. We thoroughly enjoy what the club does on the court. With David coming on board and seeing what we can do off the court, I think, the next 3 years for us is all positive. So we're really pleased to be involved.
So you guys believe in the vision of David and the board that this is a club on the rise?
Yeah, well, look, we know the history of the club. We've been part both externally and internally in the club, and part of being involved internally in the club was to get a better view of where things needed to be. Once we got that view, as a sponsor, we decided, we needed to do our job, and that is to be a sponsor. We sat down with the club in recent times and reviewed with them our sponsorship and the way we believe the club needed to move forward, and in terms of building a new governance model and in terms of getting the right people on board. The club's done a great job at moving towards that model. Bringing David on board was just a huge step forward, so we're really pleased to be involved, and we think that the club's actually got a really good future. So we look forward to the next 3 years.
What sort of things did you need to see happen before you committed to sponsoring the team?
Look, I think we just needed some real direction around the governance of the club. I think, I don't think there was any secret that was, a primary thing that needed to happen. And we've gone from hopefully being just totally voluntary to actually being a business that it needs to be. And so that was the big driver for us, and we could see the future with the people that are now getting involved, that's going to happen. So we're comfortable with that.
Do you think your vote of confidence will entice other sponsors to
Look, I really think that other small business corporates need to get on board. This is a great organisation, and it's a great sport. What these guys do when they're out in the community, and when they go to schools and they go to small communities, I know we've had them down at Newbina on our behalf, and what it does for those communities is absolutely fantastic. And I think small businesses and corporates definitely could get value for money out of being involved with this club. So, challenges out there. John and I put our hands in our pocket to do this. The challenge is really for other people to do the same, because it's certainly a worthwhile thing to be involved in.
Is the new 3-year deal the same financial commitment that you've had in the past, or is it more money or less money?
It's a substantial amount of money, so we haven't gone backwards, put it that way.
What does it mean to have a big name like Telstra on board for the next 3 years to achieve your vision of economic growth and stability within the club?
I think these guys are the perfect partners for the Chargers. It is a big brand name, but it's also a small to medium enterprise operating in the Tasmanian market and selling product and services, quality product and services to Tasmanian families and Tasmanian businesses, and they're exactly the people that we want coming to the basketball, Tasmanian families and Tasmanian businesses. I can tell you certainly that since our announcement earlier in the week, it's been a busy week and the phone has not literally stopped ringing. I would have had at least 20 phone calls of both offers of in-kind support and further cash support for the club as well. I think there's a moment in time here, and what these guys have done, and I thank them very much for it, is create a catalytic moment where we're getting our act together in terms of governance. We are certainly going to get our act together in terms of dealing with sponsors and supporting our sponsors in a really professional way. And, you know, I have no doubt that just in the outpouring of offers of support we've had in the last 4 days, we are going to take this club to a financially strong club, and being financially strong allows us to, you know, dream big dreams about the future.
The women's program had that target of $100,000 that they wanted to raise. Is that still live, or has that been reached? Or?
Well, look, I won't speak to that particular target, but what I say this is the women's program is vital to this club, in my view. This club is first and foremost a community club, serves its community, is engaged with its community, and it's vital we create the pathways and the role models for both young women and young men in that case. And therefore, with the support of these guys and the other sponsors that are going to come on board, I'm confident we will be in a financial position to make both programs work.
Do you think the term NBL ready that was said the other day has really sparked interest and turned people's heads a little bit?
Well, I hope so, because as I said at the previous press conference, I want this club to be NBL ready in 3 years, and there's some big target numbers we need to focus on to get there. They're about crowd, they're about supporter base and member base, they're about sponsorship base. Those are the things that are going to allow us firstly then to talk to government about what basketball wants in southern Tasmania, and then also to have the conversation with the NBL. As I said earlier in the week, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge before becoming an NBL club, if that's our aspiration. But what I'm saying is we want to be NBL ready.
How do you sell that to sponsors that, you know, you will be within 3 years?
Well, the great thing about what these guys have done is signed on for 3 years, and I look at these things in 3-year terms. They should be looked at in that way. We won't achieve everything we want to achieve next year. We'll do a lot of hard work next year, and in the second year we'll start to see some of the fruits of our labour. And by the third year, we will see, I believe, a club that is NBL ready. Now, what that means for sponsors is that we want to deal with you for 3 years because we want you to come on that journey with us. And when we get to that level and get to that aspiration, then everybody can share in the upside of that.
Anthony Stewart, will he coach the team next year?
I'm very confident Anthony will coach the team next year, but again, I said on Tuesday, it's an announcement probably for him to make, but let me put it this way, I'm going to be extremely grumpy with him if he doesn't.
I think we all will.
What about the imports? Will we see them back, or is that...
Sure, look, there's a lot of work being done now by the basketball department, if you like, led by Corey on the board and a number of others. I've sort of set myself the target of being as little involved in player selection as possible, because my natural inclination is to want to meddle with those things and you know, watch all the YouTubes that get sent to us, and there has been an outpouring of those this week from US and national players wanting to come here, hearing about the program we want to develop and deliver. There's been an outpouring of those, and I've been trying hard not to watch them and send my opinion around about them.